I'm Big Papa Grump.
And I'm Junior.
And we're from the Board of Doom, and this is another edition of 5 Things.
In this edition of 5 Things, we will be talking about 5 current, active wrestlers that WWE should sign and probably bring to NXT. Maybe some of them might go straight up, but I'm the NXT guy, so it's NXT.
Yeah, we're kind of, the idea is not only how they could help NXT grow as a brand, but how NXT could help them, because you've got a lot more freedom in NXT and they trust the talent a lot more in NXT to do their thing.
Up first is Marty Scurll. He is currently in the Bullet Club. He is the one who kicked out, or he's the one who replaced Adam Cole recently.
I was going to say, technically it was the Young Bucks who kicked him out.
Yeah. He's on this list because he's shown through his career, but he's shown more recently that he's really good. He's in the best of Super Juniors, and he keeps kayfabe alive on Twitter, which some people don't do. And he was trash talking Ospreay after he beat him in the best of Super Juniors. It was pretty cool. He's the one, if anybody knows, he's the Villain Club guy, because every fairy tale needs a villain. That whole thing. He's insanely good, and he would make NXT, he'd be a good, main eventer for NXT, because they need strong ones. Not saying they don't right now, but when they call them up, if they need somebody, you can throw them right in.
Yeah, I know it's kind of like the hot thing to be talking about Marty Scurll right now because of what happened at the ROH event a few weeks ago, and, when he joined the Bullet Club. But, we've been talking Marty Scurll. When he was doing some stuff for WCPW not that long ago. If you go, I highly recommend looking up his stuff from when he was in Progress. His weird sort of Middle Ages, or not Middle Age, but ye old doctor outfit, and all that. That's just a really cool gimmick. He's just crazy talented, and really is, like you were saying about keeping kayfabe alive. He owns his character. There are very few people, even in WWE, that own their character like some of the guys on the indie scene, and Marty Scurll's a great example of that. And I think that you bring him into NXT, and he's one of those guys that can really make other guys better. And I'm not talking about using him as an enhancement talent per se, but just another guy that you bring in. There's a reason why they signed Finn Balor, and why they signed Cassius Ohno, Chris Hero, and why they signed Bobby Roode and Shinsuke and Samoa Joe and all of these guys that they've been gathering up from the indies for NXT, because they're talented and they all make each other better. And Marty Scurll's one of those younger guys. I mean, I know he's not super young, but I think he's very late 20s, and he's really one of those guys that he gets it and he understands it, and not only for his character but how he can make other people better.
Up next is Prince Puma, or AKA Ricochet. You don't even have to say anything. Just sign him. He is fantastic. Look up anything from the best of the Super Juniors. He puts on a good match with insert name here.
Yeah, that match against Ospreay, and trust me, we're getting to him too. But that match against Ospreay was awesome, and he's one of those guys that apparently Randy Orton doesn't like because it's all about flips and dives. But I mean, he's made his. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, he definitely made a name for himself when he was in Lucha Underground. But he's been doing it all over the place. But I think because of the exposure Lucha Underground's gotten recently, Prince Puma Ricochet's stock kind of soared a little bit, or a bit, and he's if again you're going to keep hearing us say, just go on YouTube and look up Ricochet, go on YouTube, look up Marty Scurll, and see what these guys are. So that goes without saying with any of them, but he's a guy that you can get just highlight reel after highlight reel of some of the stuff he does.
And he's crazy. His finisher is ridiculously cool because he throws a guy in the air. It's ridiculous. And he will not put on less than a 3.5-star match. If he's sick and he's got Ebola, he's still gonna put on like a 3.5-star match.
Yeah, like his like his jobber, like when he wrestles a jobber, it like raises Meltzer's eyebrows. You know, it's one of those things.
Him versus Ellsworth would be a 5-star match. Speaking of having a 5-star match with James Ellsworth, Will Ospreay. Enough said. No, the freaking aerial assassin, this dude is insane. Look up Will Ospreay. He could wrestle. I think he did. I don't know if this is a joke. He could wrestle Vader. Like
no,
now.
he wrestled Vader,
and he put on an insane match. Like he does wonders with anyone. Now that's a guy you bring in, and he will make everybody better. You put him against Roderick Strong. That's a 5-star. That's match of the year candidate. You put him against Bobby Roode, match of the year. You put him against insert anybody
Ciampa,
here,
Gargano,
match of the year.
You know,
like,
any of those guys.
It's anything.
Tommy.
He's freaking good.
Yeah, now Ospreay's getting some news recently because of the headlock versus dive debate and the online thing he's got going. Well, it's really one-sided on his end against Randy Orton. But you know, Ospreay's another one of those. I mean, calling him a high flyer is like kind of understating it. You know, he's one of those guys that, you know, yes, he does a lot of the flippy-floppy stuff, and it all looks amazing. Again, we mentioned it earlier, his match against Ricochet at the Super Juniors tournament was just incredible. His match against Skrull earlier in the tournament, in the first round, or the first set of matches in the tournament, was also incredible. You know, again, he's another one that you can go back and find on like WCPW. I hate to keep name dropping those guys, but
his match against Drew Galloway is insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's another one of those ones where he's young. Hopefully, he brings his significant other with him if he comes to WWE, because she's actually surprisingly good. Bea Priestley, and you know, for somebody who, you know, really didn't have a name before becoming WCPW champion. Again, name dropping those guys, but yeah, a lot of these guys have been wrestling all over the UK, and then they start, you know, getting matches in ROH and New Japan and Lucha Underground and places like that, where a lot of these guys pop up and get kind of newly exposed. But again, human highlight reel. Look them up on YouTube.
That brings us to part of the Elite, which is the Young Bucks. Nick and Matt Jackson. I don't have to explain.
You don't need me for this, so I'm just going to chill out over here. This is all you.
I also don't have to explain why these guys are there on this list. It should go without saying. They're insane. You put them on either brand, they will get 5-star matches out of Sheamus and Cesaro. They will get 5-star matches out of freaking Heath Slater and Rhino. They'll get 5-star matches out of Breezango. They'll get 5-star matches out of any tag team on this roster. And they're called the Elite for a reason, because they are probably the best tag team around right now. And them not being in WWE and stuck in ROH for 2 years / New Japan is sad.
You know, and one of the things is, if you, you know, I listen to a lot of shoot interviews, just more or less when I'm bored and I'm playing one of the games on my phone. And, you know, I'll just sit there and just listen to interviews, and they are some of the best interviews that I've listened to. They're really level-headed. They get the business. They understand why they're kind of insanely popular among fans, but they're not as popular among other, like, superstars, because they do speak their mind. They had a couple of shots at WWE. You know, they kind of really started making their name in TNA, and then, you know, kind of went above and went to ROH, and that's where they really started to explode. They were brought into the Bullet Club very early in the Bullet Club's inception. Yeah, that was like Fergal was still there when they showed up. So they've been getting, you know, once you get into the biggest like faction in New Japan, you're gonna be pretty famous. And the Bullet Club just exploded, and they were part of that. You know, again, you know, the super kick thing, but they aren't just super kicks. They have other moves.
If you actually watch them, it's insane. Like, if you need any example, the match that the Hardys, before they came back over to WWE, dropped the belts to them. And
the night before WrestleMania.
That ladder match they had, that was insane. Like that,
and it was insane while they were protecting the Hardys.
Yeah.
Like they had that level match while they were extra careful not to let the Hardys get hurt, because the Young Bucks were like one of only like 4 people or something that knew that the Hardys were popping up at WrestleMania. So, and they were specifically asked by WWE, could you not hurt the Hardys? And while protecting the Hardys, they put on an excellent match.
And you can even watch the original match where the Young Bucks dropped the belts to the Hardys. Yeah. That one was freaking good too, because it was insane. Just watching them do the Hardys finisher was kind of cool. Like where it was actually really cool.
The one knock against the Young Bucks is that they are very outspoken, and that's the kind of thing that gets you in trouble when you work for Vinnie Mac. So, but aside from that, again, for a company that is struggling to get marquee tag teams, you get a team like the Young Bucks that could put on excellent matches with anybody, and you automatically elevate everyone in the division. And that's the kind of team they are. There are other teams out there that can do the same thing. So, just chill on the idea that, oh, you're just singling out the Young Bucks. Well, that's because the Young Bucks are really, really awesome.
To clean up our list, Kenny Omega. That's the last one. Enough said.
Oh, that one actually was painful.
No, enough said. Kenny Omega. I don't even need the end video. We're done. Out. Talk guy out.
See, the thing with Omega is that, you say it's like, oh, Kenny Omega, but he's making a name in Japan. He'll never come over. However, if you listen to interviews lately, one, he speaks very highly of the Performance Center now. And part of that is the fact that he, like a lot of the guys from Japan, know Matt Bloom, who, for layman's Tensai, Albert, Matt Bloom's his real name. And he took over for Bill DeMott. Kenny Omega was at the Performance Center when Bill DeMott was running it. And that turned him off to WWE and the way that they do things. But now that a guy he knows, a guy he trusts, also friends of his like AJ Styles and Finn Balor and Shinsuke and all these guys he's worked with, Itami, over in Japan. I don't know if he actually worked with Itami. Now, he listened to his interviews now. He's not speaking as poorly on WWE now. He likes to tease you with the will he, won't he, especially during the Rumble weekend.
Yeah.
But pretty soon you're going to get to a point where he's done everything he can do in New Japan, because I think he goes over Okada in July. Or June, July, whenever it is.
July is the G series.
And I think, especially since that's taking place on American soil, so they may pull the trigger on that, and then he's got nothing left to accomplish.
He said, I was listening to an interview one time. Speaking of interviews, it was right before the current Rumble. He said he's open to the idea of WWE. Well, he's open to all his options, but he felt there was one thing he had to do, and that's get the IWGP, whatever the actual term is.
The Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, the Heavyweight Championship. And he's in that hunt, and if he gets it, there's nothing else for him to do. Grump brought up an interesting point. We don't know if he'll go without the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks are locked into a 2-year deal right now. So
yeah, they're signed to ROH for a 2-year deal. And plus, if Omega leaves, who runs the Bullet Club? I mean, there are guys that could do it, but I mean, they've always had like the top name at the leading the crew. So I mean, and the Skrull's not there yet. But again, Omega's signed through January, I believe. He's sitting on another year.
It's right before the
Rumble. So it would be one of those. And plus, you've got the One-Winged Angel is probably the most protected finisher in wrestling right now. I mean, his last match.
Dane from Sanity, when he does the freaking move.
Yeah.
He wins or whatever the guy with it. They don't kick out of that either.
Well, the entire last match against Okada was basically Okada avoiding the One-Winged Angel. I mean, and Omega's a guy, he had a very entertaining and well-done match against a doll Now, the doll, by the way, it's a dummy, is actually famous that it has a win-loss record. I did a little bit of, Truth did a little bit of research the other day on it, because he was like, no, that doll's been around for a while. I'm like, really? And then he told me all these matches the doll has been in. But he wrestled a 9-year-old, which I realized that there's a portion of the old school internet, Jim Cornette, who really hates that, and the fact that he did both of those things. But they were entertaining matches. Dave Meltzer gave the last match against Okada, he had 6 stars, which I believe is a first. And while I don't take everything Meltzer says as gospel, he gave it 6 stars, so he thought highly. A guy who's been writing for wrestling for like 30 plus years and I know he's got New Japan bias, but he gave it 6 stars, and it's Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is probably going to go down in history as one of the most popular and well-respected non-Japanese-born wrestlers to ever work for New Japan. And that says something about, and when you look at Finn Balor, and I know Styles wasn't there very long, but he made an impact while he was there. And Andre the Giant, was big in Japan. And all of these other guys, and Omega is probably going to be the one that people are going to look back on as like he was the best of the homegrown talents.
And the reason that Adam Cole, baby, is not on this list is we're pretty sure he's going to NXT, so there's no point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not beneficial.
But it's pretty much official.
Yeah,
there's nowhere else for him to go, unless if, a couple weeks down the road, re-sign with ROH, which would make no sense for how they,
Oh, no, he was definitely, yeah. I mean, every indication is it just hasn't been made official, so we decided to leave Adam Cole off the list.
Just because we
figure by the time I get around to editing and posting this, it'll probably it'll probably come out that he's signed. We don't want to look too stupid.
I've been Junior.
I'm a Big Papa Grump. We've been the Board of Doom. That was our current 5 things list, and we'll see you later.
Top presenter out.